Wake up.
Why you feel so alone on your spiritual path. Thoth's hidden message. You're lonely. Not the kind of loneliness that comes from being physically alone, though that may be true too. The empty house, the silent phone, the calendar with nothing on it. A deeper loneliness. The one that sits in your chest like a stone when you're surrounded by people who used to feel like home. When you're at a family gathering and everyone is laughing about things that no longer matter to you. When you're with friends who once understood you and now look at you like you're speaking a language they forgot. The one that whispers no one understands when you try to explain what's happening to you. The strange dreams, the physical sensations, the sense that something is shifting beneath the surface of your life. The one that makes you wonder if something is wrong with you, if you've made a terrible mistake, if you're being punished for something you don't even remember doing. Let me tell you something you desperately need to hear. Something that might save your sanity, that might give you the strength to hold on for one more day, one more week, one more month of this isolation. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not being punished. You have not made a mistake. The loneliness you're feeling is not a sign that you're broken or lost or abandoned by the divine. It is a sign that you're being prepared. The isolation is not abandonment. It is initiation. The emptiness you feel is not a void that needs to be filled. It is a space being cleared. And the silence that surrounds you is not evidence that no one hears you. It is the sound of the old world falling away so the new one can be born. Thoth, the Atlantean sage, the Egyptian god of wisdom, the scribe of the gods, the one whom the Greeks called Hermes Trismegistus, knew this. The ancient mystery schools taught this. Every genuine spiritual tradition, from the deserts of Egypt to the mountains of Tibet to the forests of the Celtic Druids, has recognized this truth. Before elevation comes isolation. The loneliness of the spiritual path is not a curse. It is not a mistake. It is a sacred design, woven into the fabric of awakening itself. And Thoth left a hidden message about it, encoded in symbols, buried in texts, whispered from initiate to initiate across millennia, waiting for those who are ready to hear. You are ready. That is why you're here. The burden of being chosen. To be chosen by the divine is not a blessing in the way the world understands blessing. The world's blessings are comfort, approval, belonging, the warm embrace of a tribe. But to be chosen is to be set apart. It is a sacred assignment that often feels more like a burden than a gift. You walk a path that few understand, so you often walk it alone. You see what others ignore, the patterns beneath the surface, the energy behind the words, the truth behind the lies. You hear what others dismiss, the whispers of your intuition, the guidance of your dreams, the call of your soul. The fire in your spirit sets you on a course that defies explanation, that breaks the hearts of those who love you, that leaves you standing in a room full of people wondering if you're the only one who can feel that something is terribly wrong. Before elevation comes isolation. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before he received the law. Buddha sat alone under the Bodhi tree, refusing to move until he understood the nature of suffering. Jesus fasted alone in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights before he began his ministry. Muhammad meditated alone in the cave of Hira when the angel came to him. Every prophet, every sage, every master who ever walked this earth walked through the fire of loneliness before they walked into their purpose. Not because the divine is cruel, because the loneliness is the forge. It is the fire that burns away everything that is not you, everything that was never you, everything that you have been pretending to be, so that what remains is only what is true. When your frequency rises beyond a certain point, you no longer fit into the old structures. This is not a matter of choice or will or effort. It is physics. The people, places, and activities that once felt like home are on a different frequency now. They haven't changed. You have changed. And the distance you feel is not rejection. It is the natural, inevitable, necessary result of vibrational mismatch. You're not losing them. You're outgrowing them. The container that once held you is now too small. The flower pot has cracked, not because it failed, but because the roots needed space. The loneliness is the sound of the pot breaking, and the freedom on the other side is the soil. The spiritual awakening is a work of complete surrender. For so much of your life, your understanding of the world was built around control. Your ego believed it could control everything. Your relationships, your career, your body, your future, if you just tried hard enough, planned carefully enough, worried sufficiently enough. When your soul awakens, you realize that control was a figment of your imagination. You were never in control. You were never meant to be. And this realization is devastating to the ego. It feels like death. It feels like falling. It feels like the ground has been pulled out from under you. This period of depletion, this dark night of the soul, is an intense and unique experience. Before you can truly awaken your soul and see the light for what it is, you must walk through the shadows and experience a period of destructiveness. The old must die, and the dying is lonely. The sacred solitude of the mystery schools. In ancient Egypt, those who sought true wisdom entered the mystery schools. They were not universities where you paid tuition and received a degree. They were thresholds. The seekers were separated from their families, their communities, their former lives. They were isolated in chambers beneath the temples, in caves in the desert, in cells with no windows. They were tested, not with exams, but with silence, with darkness, with the stripping away of everything they thought they were. They were made to confront their deepest fears, their darkest shadows, their most hidden shames. And only after this period of sacred solitude, after the ego had been broken open and the soul had been laid bare, were they deemed ready to receive the hidden knowledge. Thoth presided over this process. He was the guardian of the threshold, the gatekeeper of the mysteries, and he knew that the loneliness was not a bug in the system. It was the system itself. The ancient Egyptian book of Thoth is a dialogue between a spiritual master, perhaps Thoth himself, and a student who is begging for wisdom. The master does not give the student answers. He gives him riddles. He gives him silence. He gives him the door. The text says, "Recognize the powerful door which protects wisdom. Praise Seshet. Let her answer you. If you understand her, and if you praise her, she will let you drink of her wisdom. Open your heart for her." The powerful door is loneliness. The door is the isolation you feel when you no longer belong to the world you once knew. The door is the silence that surrounds you when everyone else is still speaking the old language. The door is the emptiness that aches in your chest. And Seshet, the goddess of writing, of measurement, of the sacred geometry of the soul. She is the one who holds the key. She will not open the door for you. She will teach you to open it yourself. Solitude is needed during spiritual awakening for reasons that the world does not understand. First, your awakening is not easy, especially when you're healing wounded parts of yourself, when you're peeling back layers of trauma, when you're sitting with emotions you have been running from your entire life. The emotional havoc of shadow work is not easy to do with people around. The madness within combined with chaos outside creates more noise than anyone can bear. You need that cutoff. You need the silence. You need the space to fall apart without an audience. Second, during this phase, you move out of people-pleasing mode, out of ego battles, out of power rifts that used to define your relationships. You learn to draw healthy boundaries as you discover yourself. With more people around, this becomes infinitely more complicated. Every relationship demands energy. Every conversation demands presence. Every interaction triggers old patterns. The solitude gives you the space to untangle yourself from the web before you have to re-enter it. Third, solitude is needed for inner work, forgiveness, appreciation, finding your connection to subtle energies, learning to hear the voice of your own soul. With people around, each person emits their own energy and their own day-to-day emotional rides. You cannot hear your own frequency when you are surrounded by the frequencies of others. The loneliness is not a punishment. It is a noise-canceling chamber. It is the quiet room where you finally learn to hear yourself. Awakenings bring hard decisions. Cutting off from people who were never really your people, changing jobs that were never really your purpose, ending relationships as soul contracts come to their natural end. This is not very pleasurable to go through. Society has a limited view of what is acceptable. People who leave marriages, who change careers, who stop showing up to family gatherings, they are judged. They are misunderstood. They are labeled as selfish, as lost, as having gone through a phase. You will be put to the test in all your important relationships. Workable solutions will be found not in rushing, not in forcing, not in explaining yourself to people who cannot hear you. They will be found in your deep, relaxed, and detached state. Don't forget, the people around you do not have the same depth of awareness as you. They cannot understand you, not because they don't love you, because they are not yet awake. And the awake cannot explain waking to those who are still dreaming. 7 reasons your loneliness is protecting you. Let me share with you the reasons that your loneliness is not a sign of failure, but a sign of protection. Not evidence that you are lost, but proof that you are being guided. These are the hidden truths that the mystery schools taught, that Thoth encoded, that the dark night of the soul reveals to those who have the courage to walk through it. The first reason is that your frequency has risen. You're no longer vibrating at the same rate as the people around you. This is not rejection. It is physics. You cannot expect people on a different frequency to understand you. They literally cannot reach you anymore. The distance you feel is not personal. It is vibrational, and it is necessary. You cannot be pulled back into a frequency you have outgrown. The second reason is that you are being stripped of attachments. The loneliness is the divine clearing your field of everything that cannot come with you. Relationships that were based on the old frequency must fade. Habits that kept you numb must shatter. Distractions that filled the void must lose their grip. This is not loss. This is clearing. You cannot carry your old life into your new one. The loneliness is the sound of the unnecessary falling away. The third reason is that you are being prepared for your purpose. Before elevation comes isolation. Moses, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, they all walked through the fire of loneliness before they walked into their purpose. You're no different. The loneliness is not punishment. It is training. The desert is not empty. It is the classroom where you learn what you could not learn in the crowd. The fourth reason is that your guide has shifted. Your guide is no longer the external voices you used to rely on, the approval of your parents, the advice of your friends, the authority of your teachers. Your guide is now your higher self and your spirit. The people around you are not very keen to know this. They cannot be your guide anymore. So you stop discussing your inner world with them. You feel like an odd one out. So you stop being in social circles where you have to pretend. This gets better with time, but the shift is necessary. You cannot be guided by external voices while trying to hear your own. The fifth reason is that you are learning self-reliance. Your awakening is for yourself, not for anyone around you. Solitude is your need, your gateway, your foundation to learn self-reliance and dependence on your soul and spirit, not on anyone else. The loneliness is teaching you that you are enough, that you have never needed external validation, that the source of all comfort, all guidance, all love is within you. The loneliness is the removal of training wheels. It feels like falling. It is actually flying. The sixth reason is that you are processing your shadow alone. Along with the bliss of awakening, you also see your own dark side, negative emotions, traits, patterns you thought you had conquered. This is important to process. But if you look for support from others during this phase, chances are you will be misunderstood, judged, and made to feel guilty instead of loved. You need to be alone for this part. The shadow work is yours alone to do. No one else can walk through your darkness for you. The loneliness is not abandonment. It is the privacy you need to heal. The seventh reason is that the loneliness is temporary. This experience is not forever. It will pass. The inner light will return. The old joy in service will once more gladden your heart. This dark night of the soul has been recognized by mystics and occultists throughout the ages. It is temporal. It will pass as it must. The loneliness is not your destination. It is the passage. The tunnel is dark, but it has an end. And on the other side, the light is waiting, holding on in the dark. You cannot fight the loneliness. You cannot meditate it away. You cannot positive think your way out of it. The only way through is through. The only practice that matters in the dark night is to hold on, to recognize that the experience is temporal, to trust that it will pass, to keep breathing, keep waking up, keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when you cannot see the path. In the dark night, there's only one thing to do, one possible course to follow, to hold on, recognizing that the experience is temporal. For the time being, you have ceased to live consciously in the eternal. The light feels distant. The connection feels broken. The joy feels like a memory of someone else's life. But being temporal, it will pass. The inner light will return. The old joy will once more gladden your heart. Do not give up. Do not go back to sleep. Do not let the loneliness convince you that you made a mistake. Hold on. The dawn is coming. Actively seek out spaces where spiritual conversations are welcomed. Meditation circles, book clubs, online communities, gatherings of people who are also walking this path. Vulnerability breeds connection. When you open up, even just a little, you will often be surprised at how many others are silently walking a similar path. You are not as alone as you think. The loneliness is real, but it is not the whole truth. There are others. Find them. Create grounding habits that anchor you when the loneliness feels overwhelming. Morning journaling, evening walks without your phone, 10 minutes of meditation before bed. These small rituals offer emotional stability and reconnect you with your own inner support system. You become your own anchor. You learn that you can hold yourself. You discover that the presence you were seeking outside yourself was always within you. Instead of resisting loneliness, meet it with compassion. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a dear friend. Remind yourself, this feeling is part of the process, not a sign that I am failing. This shift in mindset can be healing in itself. The loneliness is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is not here to destroy you. It is here to transform you. And when the loneliness feels like it might swallow you whole, speak these words out loud. Say them until you feel them in your body. I surrender to the loneliness. I trust that this isolation is preparation. I'm not abandoned. I am being initiated. I hold on. I wait. I trust. The light will return, and I will be ready. The initiate's crossing. You stand at a threshold now. Not a threshold you chose. Not a threshold you would have chosen. A threshold that was chosen for you by the part of you that knew before you were born that this moment would come, that the loneliness would come, that the dark night would come, and that you would be strong enough to walk through it. You're not broken. You're not being punished. You have not made a mistake. The loneliness you feel is the sacred loneliness of the seeker, the initiate, the chosen one. Thoth knew this. The mystery schools taught this. Every master who ever walked the earth walked through this same fire. You are not alone in your loneliness. You are in the company of every soul who ever dared to wake up. You can let the loneliness crush you. You can believe the voice that says something is wrong with you. You can give up, go back to sleep, pretend none of this is happening. Or you can hold on. You can trust. You can allow the loneliness to transform you. The choice is yours, but the path does not go backward. The door behind you is closed. The door ahead is opening, and you are the one who must walk through. If you are walking through this loneliness, if you feel the isolation but you know in your bones that something is being prepared, comment one word below. Initiate. Not for me, for you, to declare that you are not broken. You are being initiated, to claim your place among those who have walked through the fire and come out the other side. If this message resonates, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay connected. You're not alone, and now you know why. Remember, you didn't find this video by accident. The loneliness led you here. Thoth's hidden message found you because you were ready to hear it. You are not broken. You are being initiated. Thank you for watching.